if this is the best time to be doing this. It's late at night again. Well, now it's early morning. But I wanted to get this done before too much time had passed, and my memory or the feelings that I have about this show would kind of become a little bit diluted with the passage of time. And I wanted to do this actually last night, but then last night was the Super Bowl. As of the recording of this, it was last night. And there had been all these like little promo trailers that had come out. And so I got distracted by watching those and, doing videos about those instead of filming this. It was just too late by the time I was done to film this. Anyway, so I finished the last episode of this yesterday afternoon, a little bit before the Super Bowl. I had started watching it a few weeks ago, and I was watching like about an episode a night or, every few days. And then I started watching it with my mom, and she liked it. So then I had a few more episodes left, and I just waited to finish those so we could watch that at the same time. So that's what we did. Anyway, so after all of that, this is, a long ass way to get around to introducing the show, which is called Truth Be Told. Now, I had done a reaction and review to a trailer that I saw about this a long time back, several weeks ago, a couple months. And it was on Apple TV Plus. And it just so happened that I have a free year subscription to Apple TV Plus. And when that happened, one of the first things I wanted to start watching was this show, in addition to the show called C, but I haven't really gotten quite into that one as much. Anyway, this is only an 8-episode length type mini-series / limited series. It's done at the end of the 8 episodes because it's based on a book called, I had to look this up, it was called Are You Sleeping by Kathleen Barber. I've never heard of her. But anyway, this was an adaptation of that novel. And it's a mystery about this podcaster. I guess at the time she was like maybe a journalist or something, but it's whatever she was. She had influence to, for the public. Because this kid, he went on trial for the murder of like neighbor or something. This is his father there. And this is him as an adult in jail. He was found guilty. And Poppy Parnell, who is the main actress, the actress is Octavia Spencer. She plays Poppy Parnell, who is the main protagonist of the series. And at the time, which was like about 20 years ago, 19 years ago or so, when he was a teenager, she ran all these like articles or, whatever that really was honing in on him, just really driving it home that he was absolutely guilty. And it influenced the public and very likely influenced the jury if they happen to hear any of it, which, they're not supposed to, but sometimes they still do. Anyway, whatever. I guess by the time the trial came around, the public had been sufficiently influenced by her work. I think that was the gist of it. So anyway, nearly a couple decades later, she starts to believe that he's innocent. So she sets out on this crusade, starts up a podcast series about it, starts investigating stuff, and things start to just kind of like unravel as the story goes on. And Lizzie Kaplan plays dual roles. She plays two twin sisters who were the daughters of the murder victim. And there were these, entanglements between him as a teenager and one of the daughters. And he was kind of like a bit of a troubled kid. He would do stuff like, break into the neighbor's house and check out their drug cabinet or something like that and go snooping around. So, he certainly looked very, very suspicious. So there was absolutely a good reason why people thought he was guilty. So as the story progresses and Poppy, finds out more and more, she starts to go through a lot of emotional turmoil because it starts to affect her personal life. It interferes. It interferes in her relationship with her father and her sisters, and between her and her husband. And she has her ex-husband start helping her doing some investigative work because he used to be a police officer. So there's all these little conflicts going on with her and the people around her. And so that, obviously introduces a level of, interest and intrigue and how is she going to navigate these situations. And you start to see, she is a flawed character. And that's, that makes her interesting to me. You can identify with her and what she's going through in a lot of ways. And yet she has these things about her that are flawed, like how she lets it interfere with her family life. And some of the stuff that happens isn't necessarily her fault, but some stuff, it's like she's definitely giving priority to this over her personal relationships, specifically with her husband. And so it creates some problems there. But another thing about her character, and that, I don't know that if I would say this is, I don't know, but there was a scene at the very beginning when she goes to the jail and she is talking to him, and in order to survive in jail, I think his name is Warren Cave. See, I forget these characters' names, but I think his name was Warren Cave, unless that was his father's name. Whatever. Last name is Cave. Let's just say Cave. So you see there the swastika on his arm. Well, to survive in prison, especially a hard prison like San Quentin, which is where he is, he has to find ways to survive. And so a lot of times the way people survive in prison is to join a gang or a group. And it so happened that the one that was available to him, the one that he joined because he's white, was the Aryan Brotherhood, Nazi people and whatever. And he's not really like that, but it was self-preservation. Anyway, at the beginning when she meets him, and he's very, very antagonistic toward her in the beginning because he rightly feels that she is the reason, or part of the reason, or a large part of the reason why he is behind bars. And he was put behind bars as a minor. I think he was about like 17 or so. And he was tried as an adult and then went straight into San Quentin. So as you can imagine, he's been very much damaged by his time in prison. But he's not completely gone, he's not like a complete lost cause. But anyway, so that she's having this meeting with him, and he's unbuttoning his sleeves or whatever, and he's showing this part. He's showing her his Nazi markings and everything. And so she leaves, and she's quite upset. She goes and talks to the mother, and the mother, is saying, the monster that you saw was what he had to become to survive in prison. Basically that sort of thing. So Poppy starts to rethink, her refusal to help him, or her running away, her reaction of running away when she saw these things. And so she goes back and talks to him, and he's kind of a little bit, more calmed down, not quite so snotty acting. And they sort of come to this agreement. And there was something that she said to him during that time that kind of got under my skin a little bit. So throughout the course of the show, it's made very clear to us that Poppy Parnell wants to find out the truth. She wants to know what the truth is. And, whatever it takes, she just wants to find out. Even if she finds out that he's guilty, he is indeed guilty. Of course, if that's what she finds out, then that's what's going to happen. She just wants to get to the bottom of things, because she knows that certain things that happened during the investigation at the time that the original trial happened, there was some shady stuff. And so that's what set her on this pathway. But there's this thing that happened when she was talking with him, when she went back to talk with him again. And she was saying how she was going to do, such and such. And she laid down this caveat, like, to him, if I smell one hint of racism or whatever coming from you, I'm paraphrasing, but that sort of thing, I'm going to make sure, something like, I'll make sure you stay in here forever, or something along those lines. That really rubbed me wrong, you guys, because while I can understand her antagonism towards him because of what she had witnessed when she first saw him, if she was really all about the truth, then what he supposedly was on the surface shouldn't matter if he was innocent. What if he was still innocent? And you decide that if he says something out of line according to you, you're not going to help him anymore and you're going to make sure he stays behind bars. Well, that's not, that's not the attitude of someone who's really trying to find the truth no matter what. So I don't know if that was like a sort of a plot hole little thing or just a character thing. Just that's the way her character was. And, good characters are flawed. It just happens. So I noticed that as soon as it happened, and I didn't really that didn't really sit well with me. But anyway, that was just one of those things. There was something else that happened. There were a couple of things that happened. Okay. All right. Let me go back and retrace my thoughts on that. So overall, I really liked this show. That's, I should have just gotten that out of the way from the very beginning. But I guess, if I make a review video of a show or a movie or whatever, it's either because I really liked it enough that I wanted to talk about it with you guys, or I really hated it so much with such passion that I wanted to talk about it with you guys. And typically, if I don't like something, it's going to be quite evident from the beginning. And when I start to go on and talk about it, then I like it. So yes, I like this show. It's quite good. I liked the writing. I liked the character interactions. And I felt like, for the most part, that the writing was solid. The episodes were pretty well paced. My only complaint about the pacing was the last episode. So I believe episodes 1 through 7 were about 50 to 55 minutes long-ish. The very last episode was only about 42 or 43 minutes long. So that was quite a chunk of time less than the previous episodes had been. Consequently, that particular one felt a bit too rushed. The pacing felt too fast. I mean, it ended in a way that I felt was personally satisfying, but I still felt like it was just a little bit too quick and stuff just kind of jam-packed. And I feel like it would have been better if the episode had been given a little bit more time to breathe, like maybe 10 more minutes extra or something like that. But, that's sometimes it's a big complaint in some shows. Like if it's something that happens on a continual basis, such as with the last season of Game of Thrones, that disaster that happened. But when there's a show that's pretty solid all the way through, and then there's an episode that feels just a little bit too compacted, to me, it really doesn't, it's not enough to mess up the entire show for me. So that's kind of a minor quibble. For the most part, like I said, the writing was solid, but there was at least one or two things that came up. One thing that I feel like was a question unanswered or a plot hole. The other was a plot hole that happens, and I got to thinking about it later, and I'm like, well, wait a second, that can potentially mess up everything. And I don't want to go into detail about what it is, but if any of you guys end up watching this, maybe we can talk about it down in the comments. I really don't want to give spoilers because I think this is worth a watch. The acting was really good. Lizzie Kaplan did a phenomenal job playing the twin sisters. I absolutely hated one of the twins and really liked the other. She was really, really good and convincing, and she had their differences in personality was quite distinct. She did a great job. Everyone in here did a great job. Octavia Spencer was good. Aaron, I believe his name is Aaron Paul, right? He's the guy who he played in Breaking Bad. He did really, really good. The people that Poppy interacted with in her personal life, you know, her ex-husband, her husband, her father, her sisters, the chemistry between them all just felt really natural, and it was just very fun to watch, and I really appreciated this show, and now I'm quite interested to check out the book. I don't know how similar those two are going to be, but it's certainly something that I want to listen to now. I might let a little bit of time pass between the viewing of this and listening to the book, because I'll compare them too closely if I just listen to it right on top of this. Plus, I'm still trying to listen to The Witcher, but I've had issues with my iPod, and it keeps resetting, and okay, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, I was wanting to finish listening to The Witcher, the first book, which is like a collection of short stories. I wanted to finish that before I moved on to something else. So maybe that's what I'll do, and then maybe this will be the next thing I listen to. I'm not sure. Anyway, so a long rambling a while later, I'm going to try to wrap this up and say that I believe this is worth a watch if you're interested in mysteries that are wrapped up in character dramas, family dynamic, family drama, family conflict, that sort of thing. I just feel like this was really well done. It might be something that I would not mind watching again. Actually, I wouldn't mind watching it again, and I kind of feel like it might be worth a second watch so that I can pick up on things that I might not have noticed the first time around. Whew. Yeah, it's like I got to wrap this up so I can, close my mouth and not jabber anymore. Okay, so I think that's it for now. I can't think of anything else to add to this review. If I do, I will mention it in the description section down below if there's anything I need to clarify. So, okay, I think that's it. I think I already said that, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Later, guys.